What's up, guys? Welcome to Small Time World. I am your host, Small Time Hero. Let's get into the Percy Jackson season finale. So, before anybody says anything, I'm going to address it. Not go into it, but address it. The ending was completely different for all my book readers. They changed the complete ending. I know I've been like, did this happen? That shit did not happen. I don't hate it. So let me just warn you before you get into this review. I don't hate it. I also want to say thank you to everybody who's been keeping up with my Percy Jackson content. Um, it's probably the most consistent views and things I've been seeing on my social media and on my YouTube. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate the love. I appreciate you guys. I hope you like my reviews. If you do, subscribe and share it and yeah, leave a comment too. I really appreciate you guys. You don't know how much it means to me. And keep viewing cuz like I said, I'm going to do a slate video. Hopefully I can get it out before Monday cuz I know we got a really crazy kind of winter storm coming. So I'm hoping to pump out content, to keep everybody entertained. Hopefully you guys come kick it with me while you ride out this winter storm. I know I'm in Georgia, so we don't really know what's gonna happen. Cause with Georgia, it can be complete and total shutdown, or it could be, everybody la 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 la. So, it's one of those things that you just kind of have to see on the day of. But let's jump into this episode, this season finale. Guys, we made it. We made it to the end. We have gone through the Sea of Monsters. We have sailed that sea. We've come back. We've beat Cersei. And we've come back home to deliver the Golden Fleece. So let's get into it. All right, the fleece works its magic a little too well. So first of all, we open up the episode exactly where we left off in the last episode with Percy, Annabeth, Tyson, and Grover in Sally's car, and she is driving them to Camp Half Blood. Percy is kind of zoned out and he's, having thoughts and things like that. And I honestly was trying to put together what he could possibly be thinking because of the nightmare that he had of Thalia, her electrocuting him, basically. So I don't really I'm not quite sure what that means, but I've been trying to just watch and see if I get hints and stuff from it. I have not. So I don't necessarily know what his nightmare means or can I interpret it honestly other than that maybe she might kill him or him as in the whole Camp Half Blood situation. I don't know. But yes, I have not figured that out. But Sally actually notices that Percy is kind of zoning out and she kind of snaps him back into focus and she's asking him and he admits to his mom that when she told him about his dream about the drachma and it having two sides, one with a scythe and one with a trident, he thought it was about him and he thought it was about his two good and bad sides. And honestly, I kind of thought it was two sides of the same coin thing too. But further on, once you really get into the book series, you find out that it is kind of like that. They Thalia and Percy kind of clash within the book because they're so much alike. And on top of them being so much alike, Thalia is a lot better at things than Percy, even though they're so much alike. So I still believe it could be two sides of the same coin, but he tells his mom it could be, good or bad, or it could be, him or Thalia. And I don't really think it's her, in that sense, because it's a scythe, and I'm just no, maybe I know for sure in the third book the D'Angelo siblings are tied heavily into, all of this. So that's a conversation for season 3, which we will meet back here in December. We're gonna do this all over again. We're gonna do a fleece watch. We still gonna call it fleece watch. I know we won't be watching for a fleece anymore, but we still gonna call it fleece watch, and we're gonna move forward with that also. So come back in December and join me if you really like my Percy Jackson content. We're gonna, take it bigger and better next season. But yes, anyway, shameless plug. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so they're driving and Sally and Percy are having that conversation and they stop in the middle of the street because they see Blackjack. And the funny part is Percy's like, "Oh, wait, I know him." And Sally's like, "Of course you know him." And then I wanted to be like, "No, Sally, you remember those damn Pegasus that he was drawing in his journal and shit? That's Blackjack." Like from all the way back then. That's Blackjack. I want to be like Easter egg. Okay, so moving forward, Percy goes talk to Blackjack. Once again, we do not get dialogue from Blackjack, which I hate. I hate it. I want to hear Blackjack cuss. I do. He has a foul mouth, and I love it. I know this is a Disney show. I know this is for children. I am a 33-year-old woman, but I do not care. I would like to hear Blackjack cuss. Anyways, oh yes. Percy goes talks to Blackjack, and Blackjack basically like Clarice, she saw that there was monsters ahead, and so she got off and went on foot. So they find out that Clarice is on foot. Further, like at the camp, we see Tantalus basically talking to the camp, and he's having conversations about like trying to get the chariot races going. And we actually see Chris Rodriguez, who is also a Hermes son, basically tell him, "Hey, look, we they're breaking through the barriers. We don't have enough troops to keep the barrier safe. Like we don't know what to do. There's monsters breaking through. You're not helping. You're trying to put on a fucking chariot race." And this nigga's like, "If we're gonna put on the chariot races, when I was a chariot racer, I was fast and this and the third." Like, nigga, shut the fuck up. Don't nobody care about when you was doing nothing. None of that. Shut up, nigga. Shut up. Of course, Chris doesn't say that, and as Tantalus is getting ready to continue on to whatever he was talking about, a Lastragonian fireball shoots across the sky, and he actually is able to pick up food, which kind of like disarms him a little bit because he's like, why in the fuck am I able to touch this food? Because of course that's his curse. And in the midst of him yelling that his curse has been lifted, he's taken off the playing field that quickly. I do not remember if Tantalus was done away with that quickly, but like he got taken off the playing field like that. Like it was over with. He was in and he was out. In and out, in and out. And it was over with. So I don't know about that, but like yeah, Tantalus is he's out of here. That shit was quick as hell. And then like all you see is Chris Rodriguez look back like, oh shit, what are we gonna do now? So as we jump right into the episode, we hear Bronte calling off from the first line or the front line. I don't know what it's called in war, but from the front line, and she's basically calling, for them to shoot, and the Lastragonians are shooting back fireballs at the I want to say that's most of Athena's camp because it's like most archers, but it could be like kids from everywhere, but I know for sure that's Bronte, holding the front line. Annabeth and Percy and Grover and Tyson are all in the trees, and they, kind of could can conduce that, by what is going on, that Clarice couldn't have went this way with the Golden Fleece. So, um as soon as like as soon as we see the group together, we also hear Luke's reinforcements coming, and Tyson is doing his weird Cyclops shit where he can like listen and repeat like a goddamn speaking spell. But anyway, he's doing his Cyclops thing where he listens, and Luke is like, "Hey, look, y'all meet me at Camp Half Blood. Meet me at Half Blood Hill. We're gonna go through the barrier." And which I thought it was kind of interesting. I don't know if this was on purpose or if this was like um an accident, but one or a few of those demigods look grown. Like not like teenage, they look like they in their 20s. So I don't know if he went and got old demigods that kind of survived, cuz usually demigods don't live that long, especially even after Camp Half Blood. Like sometimes not even sometimes, a lot of times they die even if they make it to 18. So I thought it was really interesting that it was some 20-year-old looking fucking demigods out there, and basically the giants, they were going to make a way for the giants to get through. Like Luke is like on the ground, like hands down. We jump right into this shit in the episode. And so what you do see, and what Tyson is basically telling our trio, well, it's not a trio anymore, what telling, everybody back where they're hiding, is that basically Allison and Luke are on two different like ideas, which we all know that if y'all not on the same page, it's not gonna work. And so Allison is like, all right, so we need to just stick to the plan. We take that fucking tree down. We take that goddamn tree down. I think that Allison Kronos knows that Thalia would never choose his side over her father's. She's willing to go against her father, so she's damn sure willing to go against Kronos. Now I know they set it up to make it feel like, oh, They kind of set it up to make it feel like, oh, she would definitely burn Olympus if she could because she hates her father. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that because Zeus, boy, fuck you, boy, Zeus, fuck you, boy. Anyway, so anyway, we're going to talk about that. But, yeah. So that, that I think Kronos knows that. And I think that's why Allison is like, no, we have to take that fucking tree down, take the barrier down, and get rid of this shit. And Luke is like, no, Thalia is going to join our side. She is one of the strongest demigods. Mind you, this is not what Kronos wants. So Luke is already kind of like pulling away from kind of what Kronos wants versus what he wants. He wants Thalia back. Like that's just at the end of it, that's what he wants. He wants Thalia back. It's not about Kronos. Well, of course, all of this is about Kronos, but now that he knows that she can possibly come back with the fleece, that's all he's worried about. Which I feel like shows that this is not him. This is not what he wants. He is scorned by his past and by the things that his father has done or not done for him and the things that he watched with his mother. We won't get into that, but yeah. So he's scorned by that. So for all intents and purposes, he thinks he's carrying out Kronos's wishes when all be it they're just his own desires. A friend he lost, he'll have her back. And she'll be on his side, hopefully. He thinks so. While while Tyson is mimicking Luke, we also find out that Luke knows that the fleece can bring Talia back, but we also find out that basically there is traitors in the camp. And I'm gonna say this from the beginning, and I know I didn't put my finger on it and I should have. Next time I will. I felt like I knew it was Chris from the beginning, just kind of how like he showed up around Clarice, and also he's a Hermes son. Like so that it makes a lot more sense that he is part of the traders. Although Chris plays he plays a really big role in the book, so it's really interesting to see where they're going to go. And I feel like this is where we deviate from the book. This is where we get whole new content. Here's why I love this. Kind of like how Star Wars cartoons deepen and structure out the Star Wars story. I know this is my second week making a Star Wars reference. No, this will not just be a Star Wars channel. Maybe I'll cover some Star Wars content. We don't know. But anyway, I know this is my second week making a Star Wars reference. But how the Star Wars cartoons deepen the books and the movies and made them better. I feel like deviating away from the book makes the book deviating away from the book within the show makes the book even better and kind of fine lines and fleshes out all of those things that did happen in the book and deepens the lore. And I really do love that. I know we are seeing a lot of like Peeves situation where like we getting whole characters left out. I also on my live stream had like there was this Harry Potter moment and I hated it. But we're gonna get into that. But yeah, so like there's areas where it feels like we're leaving out whole characters because I have yet to see Selena Beauregard. I don't know if we're gonna see her. It's interesting. But yeah, so like there's that going on. But I also feel like it helps the story. Like as a story as a whole, it helps. Um we actually see the two different like I don't want to call it a betrayal, but once again Percy finds out that he's kind of stuck in this situation where like anything that Annabeth kind of knows or Annabeth might, know or found out from him, she's going to tell Luke because at this point like it's been the whole season. She was talking to Luke during the Iris messages and doing this and now, he knows that the fleece can bring back Thalia because she told him and she did not tell Percy, she told him. So we're already building that tension, which like in the book there's that tension, but it's very alleviated because you can tell that Annabeth really, really cares for Percy. But you kind of can see that this tension builds. It's thick throughout the Percy Luke Annabeth situation. Although we do know that he likes her like a sister, so he said. So we do know that. So I won't go that far into it, but we clearly can tell she has feelings for him. So yes, we see both of these kind of like betrayals transpire. And poor Kate, poor Kate. But Chris basically tells on himself that he is part of the traitor group. And I mean, it kind of makes sense. Like, honestly, we should kind of guess that anybody in Hermes's cabin is a traitor. Honestly, I know that's hard. That's like tough. But truthfully, I mean, Luke was their leader, and not only their leader, their older brother, someone that they looked up to. We see Annabeth, who is trying her best to keep camp together, who is still, looking to Luke, who is still like looking up to Luke, who is still referring or deferring to Luke. Percy too, when he gave Luke the golden fleece, still like looking up to him as a person. So if our protagonists look at him like that, then of course his brothers and sisters look at him like that. You know what I'm saying? So Percy, Annabeth Grover, and Tyson are discovered in the woods and they're basically taken to, well, Percy says take us to Tantalus, where he finds out that Tantalus is dead. So the next person in charge is Mr. fucking D. And he was in there singing a song about being his great 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 grandfather, which I don't know. That was weird. But yeah, so like, and he is like, look, y'all kids gonna have to start figuring out this shit on your own, which I will say, when you read the book, you do kind of get like a lot of the adults in this books are in the mix of this shit, but they'll be like, oh, y'all kids need to get y'all shit together, or y'all need to learn how to get along type shit. And it just don't be that. It does not be that. It just, they like, instead of taking accountability, like, one thing I will say about the Percy Jackson series is that these gods never take accountability. Like, Annabeth to this day, I think, like, at 18 is like, fuck Hera, like, fuck that bitch, like fuck her ass, like, and truthfully, if you read the Heroes of Olympus, you know exactly why, and you feel that way too. Just to keep it a being. But yeah, so Percy basically gives a rousing speech to everybody who is, in the camp office in the big house, and they basically talk about, getting ready, like, it's just us, we got to defend our home, let's go take it. And we also see the archers and Bronte holding force, and we also see the barrier still keeping the lastrygonian cannonball, well, fireballs, from coming through. So right now we're okay. And for a while we get to see Clarice, and she's with Chris Rodriguez, and like, he and Katie have like this weird conversation where basically, well, him and Clarice have the conversation, and the camera, I want to say the camera point of view switches, and it goes into like this weird, like, first person camera situation. We see kind of Clarice start to question things. Like, it almost like the camera changed to show that she doesn't trust the situation she's in no more. Cause like at first she was just like, yeah, we're cool. We got everybody. We're gonna go take the fleece to the tree, and we're gonna get the barrier right. And Chris is like, the barrier is falling, and some of us are worried about traitors. Who the fuck said anything about traitors? Did you say something about traitors? I ain't say shit about traitors. Who said something about traitors? Chris. And for whatever reason, it was really weird for me, but for whatever reason, he just attacks Katie. And I'm just like, damn, Chris, like, where the fuck did that shit come from? Like, he just attacks Katie, and he's like, she's a traitor. And in that moment, Clarice kind of figures out, like, oh, okay, you the traitor. And you can kind of see in her face where she's just like fucked up, because like, he's saying all kind of fucked up shit to her, like she doesn't have friends and all this other shit. But also at the same time, in the first episode, we kind of, well, maybe in the second episode, we kind of get a hint that Clarice had a crush on Chris Rodriguez. And so like, we're also seeing like her heartbreak, because she's like, you would betray Kemp? Like, you would not, keep your vow to camp, but you will do this shit? Like, Chris, come on. And so you get to actually see that happen. And I thought that was like some really good acting on Dior's, behalf. So what we do see is, as Clarice is basically being betrayed by Chris, and she had a crush on him and everything, he tells her she doesn't have any friends. And one thing that Clarice did learn on this quest was that she does have friends, as long as she's willing to be a friend. And as he says that here comes Grover and Annabeth riding up to save Clarice as her friend, and I think that's really, really sweet. We also actually see when the camp is first attacked, like as Bronte is holding off, and like we see the Lastrygonians fireballs come through the barrier, but like basically be like shielded through the barriers. We see a slew of fucking demigods like going through the barrier. And of course, like Luke said, the barrier is not going to keep demigods out. It's there to let them in and keep the bad shit out. So it's really like, duh, they of course they are. But we also see like them make it to Camp Half Blood Hill, so they had to get past Bronte and her forces. I don't remember if Bronte does come back. I'm gonna check to see if like Bronte made it out of that because we don't know. So, after that happens, we see Luke basically, do the same thing that Annabeth did in episode 1 when she let Tyson into the barrier. I'm guessing that the rule is that a camper or a previous camper, anybody who was or called Camp Half Blood home can invite in, I guess safe monsters. Cuz I guess I wouldn't call Chiron's people monsters, but technically they are children of Kronos, so and Kronos was the father of monsters also. So, I don't know. I guess you got to have a way to let them in, but technically Chiron was there before the barrier because we found out that the barrier didn't come till Thalia. One thing that I did not notice until Luke was standing next to the tree is that the tree looks a lot like a person. Like I can't remember exactly what it is, but the tree looks a lot like a standing maiden. That's my dog if y'all can hear him. But yeah, so it looks a lot like a standing maiden and I don't remember it looking like that, but yeah, it does. And it's kind of creepy, honestly. Like it's just a cool detail, I think, and I thought it was really, really cool. But we also see basically the campers and the Lastrygonians make it to Camp Half Blood Hill. Well, the campers make it to Half Blood Hill, and the Lastrygonians are coming to be let in through the barrier. And like it's straight up war. We got Luke and his cronies and the monsters and stuff, and then you got just the campers from Camp Half Blood, and they are ready for a fucking fight. So as the campers surge up the hill and they're ready to fight Luke and his cronies. We see a lot of battles, and honestly, we see Percy cutting people down. We see Luke busting people in the face with the hilt of his fucking sword. Now, I want to say the fight choreography in this episode alone is so goddamn good. It's so good. Like it literally looks like these little kids are trying to kill each other. I love it. I don't want it to sound like that, but I do. I truly do love this. It's so good. I love it. But also, past that, this part, I wanted to speak on the Harry Potter moment. It might have been a few Harry Potter moments, but there was the part where like Mr. D was like, "How do we know you're telling the truth?" And Percy was like, "I know because Kronos talks to me," and da da da. And everybody was like, "Nah, he don't talk to you." He's like, "Yeah, I have. He's talked to me." Like I hated that whole Voldemort's back. He's back. He's back. Like I hated that moment. Like I don't need any more comparisons to Harry Potter with my Percy Jackson. I love both. I like the Harry Potter movies. The books are really good too, but I'm not a big fan of the woman who wrote them. So I don't want to do too much with that. But as far as Percy Jackson, let Percy be Percy. That's just all I was saying. Although it was a moment though. It was definitely a moment. So back to the battle. Percy and Luke get into a sword battle, which we saw a lot in the book. Well, we read a lot in the book. But I don't know if in the book Percy took that many blows. Luke whooped his ass. Like, I'm sorry. Luke whooped Percy ass. Like he whooped his ass. I'm talking about how many times did he punched him like 10 times in the face? He was like, man, fuck these swords, man. Boop, boop, boop. He whooped Percy's ass. And I truly did not think that was going to go that way. I thought we were going to get something completely different. I was very, very, very like, oh my God, what the fuck are we looking at? Percy got his ass whooped. I mean, I don't know. Like at first I was like, damn, I waited goddamn 8 episodes to watch this thing get his ass whooped, man. What the fuck is this? But like for real, yeah, man. Luke, Luke whooped his ass. Like that's all I can say is Luke whooped his ass, man. So after Luke gets done whooping Percy's ass, he goes in for the killing strike. And of course, like I'm, at the edge of my seat. You can go watch my live stream. And right in the nick of time, Tyson swoops in and blocks that. Also, I want to point out that they have on their father's horse uh shields and armor. I thought that was really, really cool. With the because Poseidon made the horses and shit, and so it's a horse on there. Anyway, so yeah, so they have it on. But also like Tyson slides in and I'm like, man, fuck yeah. Tyson is the MVP of this season. Like he was saving Annabeth and Percy's ass all season. So Grover, Annabeth, and Clarice are coming with the fleece. And as they're going up the hill, Allison, oh hater ass, shoots Annabeth with a fucking arrow. She takes her out, and Annabeth falls. Of course, Percy goes to see if Annabeth is okay, and like she's like, "I'm good. Just make sure the tree is okay." And Allison is calling out orders. Also, Allison like, "Nah, chop that bitch. Get that motherfucker down." And we heard at the beginning that Luke was like, "Do not fuck with the tree." So Allison like, "Man, fuck that tree. Take that bitch down." Annabeth like, "Man, we got to save the tree." So Percy look at the fleece and he look at the goddamn the pike Clarice was carrying, and he like, "We gonna get a Percy Jackson fastball special in this motherfucker." So Clarice throws the I'll call it a javelin. Clarice throws the wood javelin to with the fleece stuck to it into the tree. Perfect throw. Good job, Clarice. Let's fucking go. The tree starts to heal. Like, and you see Luke's people like chopping at the tree, like trying to get the tree down. No go. And like they're like, what the fuck going on? Like the tree starts to come back to life. The barrier is reinstated. Everything is, growing back and forth, and everybody's like, shit, yes, we won. So in once the tree starts to come back to life, we actually hear Thalia's last words, which is heed my words, never. And when we find out what actually happened, it makes so much more sense that those were her last words. But basically, she comes back to life. And also, when we find out what happened, we kind of figure out why there was a lightning bolt that shot down and knocked both her and Percy out. Truthfully, I think it's a part of the big three. Like, both of them kids, they got to go. And we see that Poseidon uses this time while Percy is down and out to basically come to him in his dreams. And also Tyson, I'm not truly sure how this works. Like I really don't know how this works, but yes, like Tyson also is part of this. So they pull Tyson in, and this is where we have the conversation about Tyson going to work in Hephaestus's forges up under the water in Poseidon's domain. And most Cyclopses work in the forges, but Tyson is very skillful. We've seen that all season. And Tyson is like, he tells Percy that one time when things were tough, he had a moment where he prayed to the gods to send him a friend, and the gods sent him a brother. And it was a really, really sweet moment. I was about to cry. Like it was very sweet. But Percy talks to his dad about the prophecy, and him getting to 16, and his dad tells him that everything isn't as what it seems, but he is preparing. The great stirrings are happening. The Titans are at the edge of their domain, and the edge of their jail cells. So what they feel and what they know is coming is actually coming. That's what Poseidon tells Percy, and also that he's taking his brother with him. So say goodbye to your brother. So Percy and Poseidon also talk about like why Poseidon had Percy. And Percy basically like, is that why you had me? Because you knew about this prophecy and you knew things would go, and you needed like basically a player in your pocket. And Poseidon tells Percy basically like there's things that are stronger than the gods, and that's fate and love. And I love that he mentions love, because I truly, truly like that he did have love and was, in some kind of aspect of love with Sally. And, basically telling Percy, like, me meeting your mom, me, having you is something that I never could have like thought of happening, but fate had other plans. And love also, contributed to that. Because had he not loved Sally, there would be no Percy. And I love that moment because like in the book, you do like understand that Poseidon didn't just choose Sally just because, but it's not really like, too much because one thing that you do have to realize is that these gods are like they have mates. Like Percy has an older brother, Trident, and they all live with Poseidon in his domain. Like Poseidon has a woman. Although he gets down and freaky with the naiads and the dryads and all the other iads and shit, he does have a queen of his domain. And so I feel like that is a big portion of why they didn't make it seem like he was in love like that in love with Sally, but also Poseidon and Sally play bigger parts in, the first series in the show than they did in the book. So I do understand like being like, "Oh no, yes, this is what it was, but also we can expand on it in the show," which I love. So Percy wakes up and of course we get the iconic "you drool in your sleep," but it's from Grover and Annabeth. And I feel like while Grover and Percy have a very, very strong bond in the books, this deepens it a lot more. Although Grover is way too old to act the way he act. I just want to put that out there. I don't know, maybe like in goat years it's not that mature. I don't fucking know. But he 23, he need to act more mature. But anyway, so we do that. And also, Annabeth and Annabeth and Grover tell Percy that Chiron wants to see him as soon as he wakes up, and he's like, Chiron. And once again, we did not get the party ponies. I'm still holding out till Battle of Manhattan. I'm still holding out to Battle of New York that we're gonna get the party ponies, but I don't know. Cause I thought they was gonna show up since they were mentioned, but clearly not. But okay, I'm holding out. Hope, hope, hope. But yeah, so Chiron is back reinstated, which is great because Tantalus is dead. We don't know what happened to Mr. D. I personally think he went to go hide during the battle, but it is what it is. And yeah, so we see Chiron is back and everybody is cheering Percy on, and they're because Percy led them into fight, even though he got his ass wrecked. Whew, that's an ass whooping Luke laid on him. I'm sorry, but it was. Okay. Anyway, so everybody is congratulating Percy, and Clarice and Percy have a really sweet moment where like you can tell she really wants to hug, bro, but she's just like, "Shut up, Jackson." Well, he's like, "Can I get a shut up, Jackson?" And she was like, "Shut up, Jackson." And it was so cute. I loved it. And then Chiron hit us with some tea. I'm talking about some piping hot motherfucking tea. So this is completely off the cuff. Rick was in that motherfucker writing. You hear me? He was in that bitch writing. Cause he said Zeus ain't a good nigga. he said that what you found out that night that Thalia died or was turned into a tree was what I was told to tell you. And now I've seen that maybe the will of the gods isn't exactly what I should be following. And so he proceeds to give them the tea, and he is basically like, he made his daughter into a tree because she did not want to carry out what he wanted. And he was like trying to coerce her into becoming his champion, basically. Which I will say, I don't know if that's the way they're gonna go about this, but it wasn't supposed to be like every big three has their champion, but it does kind of shake out that way. Although, we all know that Thalia does something that takes her out of the running to be, the child that makes it to the big three, because I think she stops herself from aging, I think. But anyway, so Thalia told her dad basically like, I don't want to be your daughter. I never wanted to be your daughter, and I abhor you, with her gorgeous British accent. And so that nigga was just like, fuck it then. You a tree. And he turned her into a fucking tree. It was not to save her. It was not to create a barrier. It was not to sustain any goddamn thing. It was just to fucking it stop her from basically talking back to this nigga. Like, this nigga Zeus suck. Like, I'm sorry, Zeus suck. Like, and in the book, like, he's not that bad. There's moments where he is, especially in the Heroes of Olympus, him and Hera and all that bullshit, but he was never this bad. Like, truthfully, in the book, Thalia's death was, because she was battling some monsters and she died protecting, Luke and Annabeth. That is the book story. But now apparently that's not the story. So I don't know. I was truly flabbergasted. I was like stuck to the TV when this happened. Like a huge deviation from the book, but I don't hate it. It does give me another reason to hate Zeus, but I do not hate this deviation from the book. I think it's different. I'm not going to say I hate it. I don't hate it. And I don't dislike it either. I think it's cool kind of cuz like I don't know, it deepens like what exactly is going to happen because now there's a question of, so is she going to want to tear down Olympus because her dad is a dickhead? I mean, but in the book, I don't know if we're gonna change her whole like character, but in the book, of course, she takes a different way, which there are multiple ways as a demigod. You don't have to just be a demigod. You can be a hunter of Artemis, I think, or you can do like other things. So I do think that this is like one of those things where it's like, okay, like where are we gonna go from here? So I'm really excited to see where we're gonna go from like this point. Before we end this, I want to say, rest in peace to Lance Riddick. He was an amazing Zeus. He was an amazing actor, and rest in peace to that actor. And my condolences to his family. Courtney B. Vance is now Zeus, and I love Courtney B. Vance. And I do like his portrayal of Zeus. I think it's a different portrayal. Like the suit and everything is like very very. I don't know. Like maybe that's the way he comes to his daughter who is British. I don't know, but it was very like Britishy. So I truly love the character, well, the portrayal of the character, especially through these actors. I'm a huge fan of Courtney B. Vance, huge fan of Lance Riddick. Most of the black actors on this show I've always been fans of, so I love these people and as actors. And so yeah, rest in peace, but also great job, Courtney B. Vance. I know you had huge, huge foot, shoes to step into, and you always tend to do a great job. So Thalia wakes up and she comes into the big house after Chiron basically tells them that he lied to them and the gods had been lying and everything and that Zeus killed Thalia even though she's back. And so yeah, and that's why I was wondering like with that lightning bolt that shot down and it shot her and then it shot Percy, like I do remember them kind of being like kind of intertwined. I don't know, you guys can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I do remember them kind of being a little intertwined or something like that. But also at we see her wake up and the first thing she's looking for cuz she thinks it's still the same night that she died or she became the tree, and she's like, where's Annabeth? And she sees Annabeth and she's like, oh my goodness, like you've grown so much, like cuz when she Annabeth was like what, 7 or maybe 5 depending upon the book or the show, and then she starts looking for Luke. And, they got to tell her that Luke is no longer there and that he basically turned heel on his whole family and all that other shit. And he's trying to bring a war to fucking Olympus. Like, they have to tell her that. And, it ends with Percy just like Percy being like, yeah, my nightmare just woke up. Which it still doesn't really like explain why um she's his nightmare, because like once you get into the next book you figure out that like they're two of the same coin kind of thing, and like she does do things way better than he does, but it doesn't explain it right now, but also she's literally his nightmare, so I get where he's coming from, but at the same time, like, why? So now we are finally into the credits, and we are going to talk about those two end credit scenes. So I'll call one a end credit scene, and then I'll call another one a lick back, right? So let's talk about Cersei's lick back. So Cersei, after she took them through all of that bullshit and made them kind of escape the way they did, even though she tried to make it hard, which makes me feel like even though she said she helped those people cheat, I feel like she didn't. I feel like they figured it out on their own, and she just was like, "Yeah, I helped them." I feel like everything she said was a lie, but she basically creates these busts of Percy and Annabeth, and like, yeah, are my new like victors, and if you want to take this express free and this, that, and the third, like basically creating a whole like different treatment, as she called, like a whole different treatment for these people who want to be like Percy and Annabeth, which I think is funny, and it also solidifies the legend of Percy and Annabeth throughout, like, the Sea of Monsters, which I thought was really cool. And then we get season 3. So season 3 opens up book 3, the Titans Curse, the Titans Curse opens up during the school year, which isn't necessarily somewhere like we've been seeing, cuz usually Percy goes to camp during the winter, but Percy goes to camp during the summer, but this book is actually opening up during the winter, and we see them at the dance, and we see Annabeth grab Percy's hand to go dance. Now, I do think this is the season where we get Rachel Elizabeth there, so I know it's gonna be a whole lot of people like, oh fuck this bitch, where they're gonna be like, no, I want Percy to be with Rachel. Don't you come around here. Don't you come around here with that bullshit. I'm already letting y'all know. Percy and Annabelle forever. But anyway, so yeah, and we see the dance, and like that's one of the opening scenes from the book. So it's really, really exciting. I'm really excited. Like I said, Fleece Watch will be back in December so that we can rewatch these so we can watch them together and we can review them, and I'll be doing reviews. So we will be right back here, season 3. I want to say thank you once again to everybody who watches, to everybody who shares, everybody who subscribes. I appreciate you guys so much, and I appreciate the love. I can't, ask for anything more than what you guys are doing. I appreciate you guys. And if you know anybody who likes Percy Jackson, send my videos to them. Let them know I'd be cussing in these videos. But also, send my videos to them. Also, if you like something else on my page, make sure you like, subscribe, share. And yeah, I will see you guys this week because we got a few videos coming out. So I'll holla at you then.